But it was gonna happen sometime or another, weren't it? Let's get on with it then. So, this movie, as you know, is a reboot of the 1984 classic of the same name, Ghostbusters. And it just so happens to be directed by Paul Feig this time, who I'm pretty sure I just pronounced that right. Who is the director of movies like Bridesmaids and Spy. I'm not going to lie, some of the stuff Paul Feig has done is pretty decent. Movies like Spy are undeniably hilarious. However, the trailers and the constant backlash that came before Ghostbusters even came out did not do this family film justice. However, the critics have reviewed this movie as a pretty solid standalone reboot. While the reviews for this movie mostly praise it, Ghostbusters is one of the worst family movies I have ever seen. Honestly, this movie was worse than the first Michael Bay produced Ninja Turtles movie, all the Fantastic Four movies, nearly all the Transformers sequels, and yes, at times it was worse than even Green Lantern, the one with Ryan Reynolds in it. I know some of those don't technically count as family films. I'm just trying to make my point here. This movie was absolutely awful. Just to be a little more charitable, let's start with the good. For starters, Chris Hemsworth had some genuinely funny moments. As underdeveloped as his character is, he was arguably the best part of this movie. I also really liked the cameos from the original Ghostbusters cast. They were pretty cool to see and well timed. I'll even say, unfortunately, that's all I can say that's good about this movie. So now for the bad. For starters, this movie is almost a complete and utter rehash of the original movie. You literally have to watch the original movie twice and you've pretty much seen this movie. Even the characters are complete copies, and yes, I know that this is technically a reboot, but this new cast bring absolutely nothing to the table. They're literally just carbon rip-offs from the original. You have the scientist who doesn't believe in ghosts at first, and then starts the Ghostbusters. You have the scientist's best friend, who is nuts about ghosts and really wants to catch them. Then you got the person who builds all the equipment, and the newcomer who wants to join the Ghostbusters. It's literally a carbon copy of the original Ghostbusters. I'm sorry, but Leslie Jones was unbearable in this movie. She just said something weird every 2 seconds, and the rest of the time her character was just completely oblivious to everything that was going on, and it annoyed me intensely. In fact, the performances from the rest of the cast, minus Hemsworth, just came off as really over the top and silly, and it just did not work at all. There's even a really stupid side plot where the mayor of the city tries to cover up what the Ghostbusters' activities are. It's arguably the most unimportant plot point in the movie. The comedy of this movie largely consists of weird dancing and family film cliches, such as the main character going crazy, trying to tell everyone something she knows is going to sound nuts. This isn't really funny in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but I honestly fail to see how Chris Hemsworth getting possessed by a ghost and then doing crazy tricks on a motorcycle is funny. To me, that just looks like I'm watching an episode of Looney Tunes. And not the new one, I mean like the really old one. Admittedly, there were a couple of times where I did chuckle, but the rest of the time I just felt bored and unentertained. A lot of the jokes really don't land very well and are often at times just horribly executed. I will admit that the only character that didn't come off as a total copy of the original was Kate McKinnon as Holtzman. She wasn't totally unoriginal, but like I said earlier, her performance, like everyone else, minus Hemsworth, just came off as over the top and silly to the point where it just did not fit the tone of this movie at all. There are actually times where this movie tried to seem scary with which actually felt really out of place because, one, it's a family film and a comedy, though it is a welcome addition because it seemed original and, well, admittedly, none of the attempts to scare me really worked. In fact, the attempts to scare people are pretty poor. It was nice knowing that they at least tried to add something a little more original, even if it failed miserably. This movie is also horribly shot. It's shot as if it's a sitcom, with these horribly executed wide shots. At one point, I actually thought I was watching an episode of Jessie. And unfortunately, these wide shots are constant throughout the film. They just do not stop. I like wide shots occasionally, particularly in action movies, because you get to see what is actually going on. But we need close-ups sometimes to see a proper reaction of an actress or actor, or to show that a certain twist or line of dialogue is a lot more important than you realise. But in this film, almost every shot is a wide shot, and at times it can really look bad, particularly in the final act of the movie. Whenever, like, at one point there was a close-up shot, it happened very... whenever there was a close-up shot, it just happened very rarely, and at the least important time. And it's because of these wide shots that a lot of the jokes really don't land, because there was a time when I was watching this film. There was a time at the point when I was watching this film, and there was something funny supposed to be happening, but because the shot was so wide and there were so many things going on at one time, I just could not see what was going on, and yeah, it just did not look good. I just couldn't tell what was going on, because there are going to be times when you need and it's because of this that there are going to be times when you need a close-up shot so people can probably see what is actually happening. That's what the cameraman failed to see, obviously, and you even need a close-up shot to see what is actually supposed to be funny. And yeah, like I said, there was a point where there was a really wide shot during something that was supposed to be funny. I couldn't really see what was actually meant to be funny because there was so much happening in it that in that shot that I couldn't tell what I was supposed to be looking at to get a laugh out of it. Yeah, it just felt exactly like that. It just wasn't funny. However, honest to Captain Flipping America, the CGI was the worst part of this movie. Ghostbusters has the worst special effects I have seen all year round. The CGI ghosts will go from CGI blobs splattered all over the screen, and it looked so cartoony. The film's climax is when the CGI is at its worst, and it just got to the point where it reminded me of 2015's Fantastic Four. That's not something you want to remind your viewers of. Just watching the Ghostbusters fight that giant ghost in the end was like watching an even worse version of the Doomsday fight from Batman v Superman. And that wasn't a good sequence as it is. Even the laser beams that come out of the Ghostbusters proton packs looked fake. The CGI was just so obvious. It just looked so fake. On the whole, though, Ghostbusters was just an unbearable experience. It's not a movie I will be seeing again anytime soon. If this movie ever gets a sequel, I will not be in the long queue of people waiting to see it. In fact, I would much rather watch Suicide Squad again, because I had a very fun time watching that. So, yeah, also, one more thing. Remember that some of those really cool shots in the trailers that actually looked pretty cool with the tech, with some of the new tech that was going to be used to catch ghosts? Turns out those were mid-credit scenes. Yes, there is mid-credit scenes in this movie, and I think there's about 5 of them, and they're completely unnecessary. Aside from a really cool Sigourney Weaver cameo, they're just completely unnecessary. And one of the shots from the trailer, which was actually my favourite shot from the trailer, was an end credit scene, and that was probably the biggest letdown of the movie for me. So, yeah. Ghostbusters. Unbearable experience, in my opinion. And yes, I understand. I really do understand that the people involved in this movie really put a lot of effort into it. I mean, you could tell that Melissa McCarthy and co are really big fans of this like property, but but that doesn't really mean I have to change my opinion of Ghostbusters in case some of you are going to be in the comments saying you really liked it. And if you liked it, that's great. But I personally found this movie to be, like I said earlier, an unbearable experience. And I will say this. It's not quite as bad as 2 movies I have watched this year. And I'll give you a clue as to which one of them is, and my clue is that I made a 10 reasons why I hated it. And people who saw that video are going to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I did not like Ghostbusters. I really did not. It's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's got the worst CGI effects I've seen all year. And yeah, need I say more? So, guys, thank you for watching my review of Ghostbusters. Yes, I know, this was a very, very negative review. However, I really did not want to see this movie in the first place, but I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to watch it, see how it is, and I honestly regret it. So, yeah, again, thank you for watching, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, and I will, indeed, see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys, and see you in the next one.